And it's there that one man notices him. Captain Karl Mayer.
He spots talents that can be used for two things. On one hand, the intelligence services of the army, and on the other, the propaganda services, including possible speakers.
Karl Mayer takes on Hitler as a spy. His mission? Infiltrate the DAP, the German Workers' Party, affiliated with the extreme right. And there, Hitler feels particularly comfortable.
He does what he's asked, but much more because at a certain point he takes to the floor, and that is a key moment, because he discovers something he wasn't aware of, his talent as a speaker.
And it's in Munich, in brasseries like this one, that Hitler progressively becomes leader of the NSDAP party. Several times a week, he launches into 2-hour-long monologues. At the start, he only seduces a handful of militants, but ends up captivating thousands of people. At the start of the 20s, Hitler is a skilled agitator in bars. But he has no intention of writing. One event will change that.
What happened was Mussolini's example of marching on Rome, which gave Hitler ideas.
So in November 1923, Hitler imitates Mussolini. He's 34 and at the head of a rising political party. And at his sides is one of the heroes of the First World War, General Ludendorf. In Munich, the two men decide that the time has come to take power by force. Hitler and his troops dramatically interrupt a meeting of the Bavarian government.
Hitler arrives in the middle of this meeting. Revolver shots are fired at the ceiling. There's a slightly farcical side to the whole thing, because he arrives, fires a pistol, makes a speech. At the time, Charlie Chaplin's impression of him is not yet known, but we can imagine it's a bit like that. And he threatens those who don't want to follow him.
But the operation fails. Behind their barricades, in the street, the members of the putsch are crushed by the army. 16 of them are killed. Hitler is safe and sound, but he is arrested and thrown in prison. The Landsberg fort, 60 kilometers from Munich. When he arrives there, Hitler is at his lowest point.
We know that Hitler weighed 72 kilograms when he arrived and would quickly lose weight. He became depressed and started a hunger strike. He even apparently thought about suicide after the failure of the putsch. It was a pitiful failure, and not only did he not have the audience he wanted in Bavaria, but he became the laughingstock of all the newspapers.
Hitler's story could have stopped there. However, at the back of cell 7, where it was least expected, he finds a new lease of life. He knows he risks the death penalty, so for the first time in his life, he starts to write. 60 pages. He prepares his defense for his imminent trial.
And the seed of the idea was sown to write about his experiences and his enemies. So in 1923, it was about settling the score with his enemies.
3 months later, journalists are jostling at the start of the trial. This historic image shows the conspirators of the putsch. Accused of high treason, they all plead not guilty. All except one, who stands up to the judge, Adolf Hitler.
And there, he uses the trial as a platform. Hitler was charismatic, and those around him felt it. That's what was fatal in his character, that he could influence people personally. Listeners hung on his every word. Everything that he dreamt up, people believed.
Finally, Ludendorf is acquitted. The others receive minimal sentences. As for Hitler, he is also a winner in this trial. He risked the death penalty. Instead, he is sentenced to 5 years in prison and only serves 9 months, and in exceptional conditions. In his cell, he has access to newspapers, drinks his tea from china cups, with an amazing view of the countryside. Even better, dressed in his normal clothes, he talks to his fellow prisoners. Among them, he finds friends and former putsch comrades like Rudolf Hess, who would become one of the key figures of the Third Reich.
They could go into the common room when they liked during the day. They were free in their movements and to talk to each other. It was a bit like a flat share for men.
In this 4-star prison, Hitler is treated like a star. Since his trial, he's become a kind of celebrity. Everybody wants to see him or give him gifts. He receives biscuits, flowers, letters of encouragement from fans like this one, starting with, "My beloved Führer." The leading figures of Bavaria also rush to talk to him. The visitor's book is full to bursting, just like these cards detailing each interview to the last minute. And among the 330 visitors, there are some celebrities. General Ludendorf and also Wagner's granddaughter. Many encourage him to continue writing, and notably Helene Beckstein. The heiress of the piano brand gives him a crucial present, a brand new Remington.
She often visited him during this period, and so it's thought it must have been a gift from her, as these machines were very expensive at that time, and having such a device was not self-evident.
Hitler has time. His party needs rebuilding, and he needs money to pay his lawyers. And so he thinks that writing a book could be a good idea. From there, a myth is born. Hitler, the orator, wouldn't have written anything himself. He would simply have dictated his text to Emil Maurice and Rudolf Hess. However, nowadays, historians think that is not the case. The Führer did indeed type his text in prison.
The first volume, at Landsberg, he wrote alone. In any case, Rudolf Hess couldn't type very well. He learned to use it in prison. The others didn't really help him at that level, so he worked alone on the typewriter. This idea that Hitler dictated his work is a myth. It's false.
Hitler rewrites his own story, giving himself a hero's role. But not only that. He takes advantage of his incarceration to read dozens of books, like the essay on the differences between human races by the French writer Gobineau. Or ones with charming titles such as Rassenhygiene, racial hygiene. Today, it may seem revolting, but at the time, these pseudo-scientific theories were successful. Newspapers talk about races with no embarrassment. Hitler uses this as a source of inspiration.
He starts collecting them. He puts them all together in a kind of hard-to-swallow soup. He manages to give a terrible, nightmarish coherence to these racial books and ideas.
And so the months go on. Hitler perfects his terrifying theory, that of the racial struggle. At the top of his imaginary pyramid